Good morning, friends. Happy Thursday. Welcome to our coffee run for today. Happy Thursday. So, today, given that it is Mindset Week, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about the stuff that I've been again reminded of this week as I'm working through my own stuff, but also some things that I'm relearning, reworking through, and that I've been reminded of this week that I think is really, really important. So we were walking along as we do every morning. Must have been Sunday morning, I think, because my husband was walking with us, and we walked past a guy who was an older gentleman. Looks like he was training for a marathon. Like that's kind of how he was running. Kind of like really tight, not big long gait or anything like that. Just really kind of compact in his running style. And my husband said, "Oh, you know that guy that we just passed?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, he was diagnosed maybe 5 years ago or something, or maybe a bit longer than that, with MS." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, really?" Because he was running like he'd run. He's more fit than me, more fit than anyone else probably I know personally at the moment, particularly for his age. But age aside, he's just someone who just seemed to have it all, together, I guess. And I'm like, really? Wow. And he's like, yeah, he was diagnosed with MS. There's stories and stuff have been done on him. And he said he decided to just completely change his life. So he got back to being healthy. He started eating really well. He started really looking after himself, and the MS diagnosis was gone, and now he runs every day and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, this is really interesting. So there's that. The second thing that we were talking about last night, actually, we're doing morning and night walks at the moment because I'm just like, I just need to get out and be moving. And one of the topics of conversation last night was around a podcast that Dom, my husband's listening to at the moment. He's got a 45-minute drive to work. Yes, we live in the middle of nowhere and he still has to drive 45 minutes. It's a bone of contention. But anyway, he was listening to how these different people have made these choices around their food, around their lifestyle, around their fitness and everything else. Good morning, everybody. If you guys can let me know that the sound's better today, that'd be really great. Thank you. And then I was talking about the way that, I choose to eat and the way that I choose to look after myself. And really, when I definitively decide something, everything just kind of works. I don't feel like I'm missing out. I don't feel like I'm having to use willpower. I don't feel like I'm hustling even necessarily. It's just like, well, this is what needs to do. This is what needs to be done. What do I need to do? And we just kind of get going on with it. And the point of today's live is that everything is a choice. Absolutely everything is a choice. So you can choose to stay in a business that doesn't make you happy. You can choose to stay in a relationship where you're not happy. You can choose to yell at your kids. You can choose to procrastinate. Everything that you do every single day, every single hour, every single minute, every single second is a choice that you are making either consciously or unconsciously. And that's really cool, right? Because once you know and accept that, then you can really take control of your choices, right? So I guess where I'm going with this is like if you choose, despite the odds or despite the lack of perhaps knowing or certainty or guarantee or whatever, if you choose to go and put yourself out there and become visible online, then you will do what needs to be done in order for that to happen. If you choose that you're going to lose weight, if you choose that you're going to become fit, if you choose that you're going to declutter, that's great. And then you take the next step that needs to happen. So, hey, Beck. So it might be around, like, I know Beck's just decluttered a wardrobe. So, you go and watch something, you make a choice, you go and take the action. But first of all, it's like you've got to be making conscious choices around what it is that you want to build, what it is that you want to create, how it is that you want to feel. I remember a few years ago we hadn't been doing morning walks for very long. So I think this is going back, we started doing them I think maybe 4.5 years ago every morning. Much like the kids love it. Like the kids loved it. And my thing is like, right, we're walking every morning before everything. We'll get up a bit earlier. It's a really great connection time. And I remember waking up one day pretty early on in the piece, just being like, oh man, I'm so freaking tired. I don't want to get up, blah, blah, blah. You know, that was kind of like the instant record. Some of you might not know what a record is. That was like the instant track that got played in my head. It's like, oh man, I'm so tired. Or man, I wish I could sleep in. Or I don't want to go to work. Or, you know, whatever it might be. So in this particular instance for me, it was, oh, I'm so tired. And I got up and I dragged my ass out of bed and I got dressed and I gathered the children and my husband and la la la. And we got out the side gate. We've got a side gate at our house that we walk out of. And I remember getting out onto that pathway and talking to myself. Like I coach myself all the time, right? I'm probably hypervigilant, super aware about the different tracks that I'm running and the sabotages and things like that that goes on. And so I gave myself a stern talking to. I'm like, Nicola, no one else can make you feel anything. It's your choice how you feel. So how about you choose to be fucking happy and just get on with the day? And it was almost like a switch flicked inside. And it was just like, oh, happiness is a choice. So my husband and I were talking about that as well, and the difference between, on this podcast that was being done, it was the difference between happiness and pleasure. Thank you, Miss Esri. My 12-year-old brings me coffee. It's the best thing ever. Thanks, Ez. I love school holidays. So talking about the difference between happiness and pleasure, right? So pleasure is usually something that is created usually by an external factor. So it could be, hey, Tamara, let me know if that whirring is no longer here because these headphones aren't particularly comfortable, but I'll keep them in for you if the sound's better. If not, I'll get rid of them because they're really freaking annoying. So where pleasure is usually from, oh, thank God, it's usually from something external, whereas happiness, you know, you don't get happy because you eat a dessert. You don't get happy because you eat a piece of chocolate. You don't get happy because you have money in your account. You don't get happy because somebody buys you flowers, right? That's more pleasure because it's not something that tends to stay. So happiness, however, like someone could give you flowers. My husband gave me flowers for our anniversary. Look at my new office layout. That's them. It looks really boring at the moment, but there's my little flowers sitting over there on my desk. Ah! Oh my God. Oh, joy. How do you know we're live, hey? For frick's sake. So, anywho, he buys me flowers and that doesn't necessarily make me happy, right? The thing that makes me happy about the flowers being given is the thought that goes in it, is the way that they're handed over, and it's that whole process actually, you know. So, and then it's how I choose to interact with that experience that then whatever, where other days, you know, let's say that we've had a fight and he rolls on home with flowers, I'm like, yeah, you know what, fuck you. I'm not even interested in the flowers. You know what I mean? Is like happiness is a choice. So everything is a choice. Everything that you do have experience, everything, the first thing comes, like you've got to choose that you're going to do something different. You've got to choose that you want whatever the outcome is that you want, and then you've got to be able to you've got to be willing to take that action. And what I love about that is that when you choose and when you decide, and it's a real line in the sand, it's like my decision at the start of last year is like, well, if it's not fun, I'm not freaking doing it. Like that was my boundary. And if it wasn't fun, or if I couldn't see that I could have fun doing something, then the answer was hell no. And I just wasn't even doing it. So with your marketing, with your delivery, with your coaching, with your training, with your consulting, with your whatever, like clienting, you know, whatever it is that you do, when you choose that you're going to do something your way or do something in a way that is going to really put yourself out there, like your marketing, then it's about taking that action once you've made the choice. But here's the thing, if you decide to go and do the action before making the choice, it often ends up being a little bit flibbity-jibbity. That's not the word I'm looking for. You can kind of flip-flop in and out of, you know what, yeah, maybe this isn't what I really want, la la la. So it's really important to do the work first, to make that choice first. Most importantly, though, the big message for today is that everything is a choice. Absolutely everything is a choice. How you feel, how you look, how you interact, how your relationships are, everything's a choice. Now, if you find yourself in a situation that you don't like, if you find yourself in a situation that is unresourceful and you feel a little bit trapped, you have a choice to leave. You don't have to remain in that. You don't have to remain in a conversation that is not serving you. You don't have to remain in an energetic exchange that is not, that doesn't go both ways. So you've always got a choice. Part of, I guess, and sometimes we end up in really shitty situations, and it can kind of feel really hard. So I was in gosh, this is going deep this morning. I was in a domestic violence relationship, feels like freaking 25,000 lifetimes ago. And it was really tough, right? If you've been, well, that kind of sounds a little silly, but it was a really hard, tough relationship. And it really wasn't until, I made this choice that wasn't really an all-in choice multiple times throughout that time period to try and get out, to try and kick him out, to try and do these things. But it really wasn't until I kind of came, and I'm a bit of I have a high level of tolerance and I have a high level of pain tolerance, unfortunately. And it didn't get to, it wasn't until it kind of got to the point where it was like, oh my gosh, I could actually die, that like I made that decision to, right, that's it, that's done. Like there's no going back from this. Something has to change. And I actually that was the line in the sand. It was a choice and a decision made with my entire being that's enough now. And I don't know, I hope that resonates with you, and I trust that whatever it was that you needed to hear today was relevant and that it helped. But, if you're in a situation like that, then you've got a choice to be able to get out. You don't have to stay in anything. And I wish that I had the confidence back then to be able to get out of that in a lot sooner than what I did, but I didn't. And, maybe everything happens for a reason and yada, yada, yada. But, with this, I guess where I'm going with this is that you've got to make the choice first and then you take the action. Because if you try and take the action first, then it kind of doesn't really work very well, and you flip-flop, flippity-gibbet, and you kind of dance between both sides of all of that. So that's that for today. So yeah, I trust that was helpful. Everything's a choice. Happiness is a choice. What you do today is a choice. If you want what you really, or if you really want what you say you want, then make the choices, make the decisions that you know that you need to make in order to be able to be visible, in order to be iconic, in order to be seen, in order to market yourself, in order to grow your audience, grow your business, grow your perspective, and all of that type of thing. So just make the choice first and then get going. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Thursday. It's Thursday today, isn't it? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we've got 4 days left to register for the Visible Expansion Program if you haven't done that already. The link is nicolamoras.com.au/visible-expansion. We'd love to see you in there. But most of all, all of that aside, choose greatness. Choose awesomeness. Choose you. I think that's probably really the biggest thing out of all of this is you've got to put yourself first. You've got to put yourself first. You've got to choose you first. And that's really the moral of that story. So have a really great day, everybody. Get out there, go help some people, get visible, and go change the freaking world. I'll talk to you tomorrow.